Alright guys, Beulah here, back for more. Yakuza Kiwami, listening to RJP. Yeah, probably not gonna record much here. It's already like 12:30. Yeah, 12:38. I don't even know what we're doing. Go to Shangri-La. Okay. Wait.
etc.
Ah, fuck off.
The stuff that's been happening. And then we're gonna get into the Legacy Watch. We're gonna talk through the players and
Not gonna bother.
what happened to their legacy this season.
Yeah, work was terrible today.
See where Tyler is.
I did, today was, I think the longest day I've worked in a while.
Disappointment in terms of people that were optimistic about him.
Like probably since I
know
was...
that's where I'm at with Tyler.
I'm trying to think.
This season, but how far might he fall? Or maybe, I don't know, maybe he made it to Final Six. That's pretty good considering his reputation.
I think since
Maybe
like
he goes up.
pre-COVID.
In the game of Big Brother, I've heard once upon a time.
Or maybe around the time of COVID. I don't know, because I used to only work weekends. But ever since I transitioned to working 4 days a week, like, I don't think I've worked the shift this long, so, that's not fun. And the fact that I have the same shift tomorrow is not fun. But, yeah, this morning I did get a little bit of work done on the Big Brother 22 review, not nearly as much as I would have liked. What did I do though? I pretty much all I was able to do was, I did the prep, I got images and stuff like that. And I, did some, I did write about my thoughts on the triple eviction. Not the actual events of the triple eviction, just my thoughts on the concept of a triple eviction.
But like Christmas came so close and we didn't see it, and by the time we see it we're gonna be so used to the reality where she didn't win that it's not gonna feel like it was ever close. But like we came close, and it's happened so many times this season that the HOH could have gone a slightly different way. And it was
so that's what so I was able to do that before work. After work, I like, even though it's been like 2 hours since I got home from work, like I just really didn't feel like doing shit. Like I'm just not in the mood. And I probably, like, again, tomorrow before work I'll probably try to do some stuff. Tomorrow after work I probably won't do anything either. I'll probably just relax for the night. And then I think I'm content now to where, like, I'm just gonna try to get this stuff done on Monday. Because at least Monday, like, because the thing is, like, I'm actually ahead anyway from where I was planning on being, because I wasn't planning on finishing the Heroes vs. Villains video all on Friday. I was planning on finishing that over the weekend. So really, just this is just making me back to where I was originally planning on being by the time of Monday anyway. So.
They would have loved to edit. Oh, the Wise Guys made it to the Final Four, so Memphis is set up perfect.
Oh, fuck.
So I'm glad that messed up that plan. But Nicole as HOH is nice to see.
It really is. Fuck. But I mean, I am fine with the outcome for a number of reasons. One, I totally agree with your point, Taryn. I'm someone who believes in this idea of like the multiverse, and I really would love to go into a universe one day where it was Big Brother 22, where like Janelle slides that Beerstein and wins HOH number 3, where Kaser gets Ballins first wins HOH number 4, Davon answers that question right and doesn't bequeath HOH number 5 onto Christmas. Like, there have been so many close calls, and this season has been such an interesting experiment where, like, Robert Frost, you are met with a juncture of, like, here's the things fans want to happen and the things fans don't want to happen, and we've gone right every single time.
I don't even know what's going on narratively anymore, or whatever.
It's going the complete wrong direction. It's a sight to behold. But back to the Nicole of it all, I do like this in that, you know, there's been a lot of discussion, especially the past couple weeks.
Yeah, Nicole won veto today, so that's interesting. Obviously, I think that more than likely means Memphis is going home, which is kind of disappointing in a way. I do think Memphis played one of the better games of the season. I think if it's not Cody, I think Memphis would have been a more I think the most satisfying win at this point is obviously Cody. But I think Memphis is number 2. And I would have been very content with a Memphis win.
Especially after this season. So, like, even I would, yes, it might shake things up, but like, I don't.
But now I feel like the season's not residing. That's not the one. Is whatever. Like, I think it's come down to. Oh, fuck! I fucked up there. I should have pushed wrong.
They're about to make it to the Final Four. Like, in Memphis's mind, he's in the Pretty Boys, and in everyone else's mind, it's like, yes! Well, everyone other than Christmas. And now I'm just waiting for, like, the very teary-eyed, bro kind of like, oh, man, we just have to do it to you, Memphis. We love you so much. It hurts.
Yeah, he's essentially the Atom, right?
I'm just waiting for that moment here.
Yeah, I mean, I think
How do I
it's
fucking hit
interesting
him?
in that the chickens have kind of come home to roost for Memphis in that he really created this alliance that really wasn't anything sincerely in the first couple weeks in the committee, and just due to this unorthodox winning streak ended up becoming a thing. You know, remember those first couple weeks of the season where we're like, why is Julie Chen managing the committee? They didn't do anything. And they end up becoming one of the most dominant alliances coincidentally in the show's history. Now, Memphis has this sort of cockamamie constructed alliance that I'd say 3/4 of the party are not necessarily bought into. And now he's gonna get booted because he thinks he's a part of it. So clearly, like, this was a final destination thing. This is waiting to happen, and now the Grim Reaper, not to get too much into the week, is seemingly coming for him and his big start.
Yeah, I wonder if it's gonna be a situation where he gets out the house and he sees that, you know, I don't know if Memphis is the type of guy to rewatch the season, but if he rewatches the season and he sees, wow, okay, the committee wasn't actually a thing. Well, if he watches the edit, he might think that. But if he finds out from someone who actually was watching feeds that people weren't loyal to the committee until it was like, well, it was convenient, if he's going to be, like, shocked, or is he still going to think, no, I created this powerful alliance to play the game?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about Memphis' strategy, where, you know, I think that at the start of the game, we looked at Memphis as like, what's this guy doing? And then it just seemed to work, and we were kind of like, okay, well, here are the, I guess, the hidden upsides to this strategy of, like, not having much of a social game, being upfront with people, having low expectations in terms of kindness, you know, like, all of those things that have given him a spot in the final five with, I think, a halfway decent chance to win this game.
Yeah, I think if he gets the end against anyone but Cody, I think he wins.
Cody at this point, and we've been like, wow, like, look at that, like, it's, you know, he's actually done pretty well. But I think that what we're seeing right now are the downsides to this strategy that have always been there, which is that if you don't have a social game, you are relying on the competition to carry you through, to give you the power and the credibility that you need in the house in order to stay afloat. And that's what Memphis was always going to have to rely on in the end game. He loses this HOH competition, and we just found out before this podcast started that he has also lost the veto because Nicole also beat him for the veto. And so Nicole, the person he had no concerns about beating in competitions, has now beaten him twice, and this is likely going to be the death of Memphis's game here.
Yeah, and it's interesting, you know, Nicole in 1 week wins as many competitions as Trump beat Christmas, right? Has really won this season of fans and safety competitions. I think we can officially squash that once and for all. And one of your wins was that someone else did something for you. Like, you don't get a competition win by being Luigi in Mario Party and not doing anything. Like, that does not count on legitimacy. But yeah, it's been an interesting week. I mean, I think Danny was sort of a blindside, right, during the triple eviction, but depending on how they end up going through with this, I think this might be one of the bigger betrayals from a personal perspective. I do not think Memphis at this moment sees it coming. You know, Christmas, at the moment we're talking about this, is trying to talk to Nicole into making this big move to use the veto and put up Cody or Enzo and move one of them. They had this big girl power chat both separately and together earlier today. But Memphis is sitting in that cloud of comfort thing. Like, listen, I'm in full Venn diagrams of the wise guys. I'm protected triply. They're gonna keep me here when he's in for a rude awakening, if not on Thursday, beforehand, to your point, Taryn, when he inevitably gets down by one of those wise guys who told the people it's gonna be.
I saw a conversation earlier today where Cody and Enzo were saying they might have to go against Nicole to vote out Christmas.
Fuck.
Did that die? Did they change their mind about that?
I mean, Enzo seems... Enzo's always hard to read, but Enzo seems very firm in that he wants Memphis gone. I think would be willing to go either way, but with both of his allies wanting to go in a particular direction, meaning Memphis gone, he's willing to go along with that because it's not worth trying to push his agenda when it might be best for his game for Memphis to go anyway. Just now, when Nicole has just...
Yeah, I haven't read any of those feed updates.
Enzo, he was like, Christmas is losing it. She doesn't even realize that it's a done deal at this point. She's a goner, and Cody and Enzo are laughing with him, and then he runs into the storage room, and Cody and Enzo give each other a look like,
Okay, perfect.
he's out, he's done. Now, of course, it's only Saturday. There's a lot of time until Thursday, and in that time, Cody could rethink things, Nicole could rethink things, Enzo could rethink things. All it really takes is Cody and Enzo, as you pointed out, Asia. And so if they decide they want Christmas to go because they're worried about Nicole and Christmas linking up at the Final Four, which they kind of should be, then they could make that happen. And where does Nicole have to turn at that point? It's not like she can be like...
Yeah, I'm expecting to lose a lot of money in the stock watch this week, by the way, with Enzo.
Right.
So,
With Enzo now being confirmed to be like less of a jury threat,
Cody can always say like,
and also with him possibly going home next week. Like if Christmas wins, veto, I think she could possibly vote out Enzo, and I think Nicole wants to get rid of Enzo next week too.
So I'm inclined to believe that Memphis is in a lot of trouble here, but it does not mean that it's a done deal at this point. When you have people so firmly in power that really they can make either decision, then you will see them probably flipping back and forth a couple of times and going through the pros and cons.
I hope so, because they gotta give some sort of rationale for this sluggish-ass endgame schedule. I am still confused to high heaven as to why you take arguably one of the slowest stretches in the game and turn it into an entire month. Like, I mean, I guess we should be counting our blessings about this week even, because this next week, the week after, is going to just be get your taxes done, people, for next year during that time. Start up a new hobby, because the Final Four week, 7 days of the Final Four is going to be very tough, especially if they do that final veto on Saturday. Like,
Did they do that last year?
it's gonna be a slug for those last few days.
Every tool for every guy that wants to look his best every day. Kingsley Gillette is a new, complete line of tools and care products curated by the most trusted name in grooming since
That's the other thing that happened today. My Survivor What If video
Your beard is our trade.
did come out,
These are your tools.
and it did okay. To be honest, it's not doing great. In the grand scheme of things, it's
essentially just a giant rock, paper, scissors
right
game.
now, it's essentially
It's just about
doing exactly what I said
and
yesterday,
then there's
where
like an hour
I think it will do
discussion
what my
total
other
about
What If
what to
video
do
did,
afterward,
but like a
and
few
that's
hundred views below
basically
it. And as of right now, it's around 400 views below.
Pretty firmly locked up by certain people. Then it's really even more just one big rock paper scissors game. And when you have
About 400 views below my other What If video, and it's been constantly there for the last probably like 6-7 hours or so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll sleep on it. We'll come
I
back
did
to
also,
this
even
later.
though the Dreamcasting video is not there anymore, I did compare it to that, and it's about 300 views below that as well, which is not particularly great. Because I was thinking it was doing better than what, it being 400 views behind my other What If video, I feel like that's okay. But it being below my Dreamcasting video by another 300 views or so, that's not great. I really thought I was doing better. Mind you, reception to the video is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a little. We don't need this much time.
100% dislike ratio. That's unheard of for me personally.
At this point in the game, what are we doing?
So I mean, that's good, but I mean,
retrospect, could we have
again, not a great performing video in the grand scheme of
Western
things.
all
So
things is usually 9 to 10 days. Should the first week of BB22 have been a non-elimination and push back Keisha's eviction 1 week, that still ends up dragging our feet week here at the end, but at least doesn't create a whole month where we go from 6 down to 2 by
something I do find funny though after today became official, that in the first 9 days of this month, I made more money than I made in the entire month of April, the entire month of May.
The fact that
It's like, that's
there
kind of
was
funny.
a triple at the point that we were down to 6. It's like you do not need a month for 6 people in any version of Big Brother.
Yeah, my problem with the buyback is that, like, okay, so we go back up to 7, and it's just like another week of...
Yeah, no, this season is not the season to do a buyback in, because if there was any season to have the revolving door effect in, it's this one, where it's, like you said, Taryn, things are set so concretely that, like, people will be rooting for, you know, from those first 4 jurors that we saw in the jury house this past Thursday, it's like, oh, bring Davon back. Well, then you better be happy that Davon's placement got bumped up like 3 weeks, because she's going right back out the door again. Even someone like Danny could very easily go back out unless she wins a competition. So it would just, I think it'd just be a sting of like, yeah, when you think that there's an opportunity here in Big Brother 22, it ends up falling just short right in front of your face.
Yeah. I do think Danny coming back would be fun, but only because they botched it the first time she left. Like, I still, like, if Danny came back, then we'd have the week that we were promised of Danny's downfall again. But if we would have had that in the first place, if they just hadn't screwed up with a triple in the first place, and if they hadn't screwed up the first time, then Danny came back, then it would have just been more of the same. But yeah,
that would have been so juicy. A week of Danny talking to Cody and Cody just having to lie to her. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean that's what we should have had in the first place. But yeah, we don't need full weeks for 6, 5, and that's what I was saying in the first place with the I keep saying in the first place with the triple, which is that it was at the exact point in time where we often see a lot of big moves being made, a lot of the major events happen. Dan's funeral happens in that section of time that the triple happened, along with many other like exciting events in the history of the show. And we really skipped over the one potentially good part of the season, and then really doubled down on the slow march to the end. Which, it's at the same time, like, if you're not glued to the feeds 24/7, it's not that big of a deal. It's not like you need to be entertained at all moments. Definitely manage their time a lot better and get a lot more out of the season if they changed up the schedule, I think.
Well, I think especially because as of late, they've done a great job of, like, we've talked so much about doing a celebrity Big Brother style scheduling where it's like, 4-day quote unquote weeks, and we get that usually in Modern Big Brother with like Final 5 into Final 4. Usually it's like that special Tuesday eviction show where Frankie Grande walks out to a collected studio audience, and then we have, the veto episode of the Final 4, and then we move into the Final 3. It feels a little more rushed. This is exactly the opposite of a Survivor finale, where we go from 6 to 2 in like 28 days, when usually it's 28 minutes to go from 6 down to 2 in Survivor. So it feels like so much whiplash. That being said, there is certainly some intrigue to be had, particularly when it comes to, and I heard Liana talk about this morning about, people sizing up their various end games. There is stuff going on, even though to be honest, it really does look like, barring some choice competition, it's going to be some combination of Cody, Enzo, Nicole, Final 3 most likely. There still is some intrigue as to particularly the decisions that Nicole might be making or claim that she's making to step away from that trio.
Right, and because they have so much time, they are having that opportunity to play out every scenario. So, like we were saying, even with this week, they have nothing but time. So Cody has the time to run through the scenarios to see, okay, and if I was Nicole, what would I do in this situation? Maybe I would team up with Christmas, and then he would see, okay, we need to make sure we do make this decision, because there's so many days to think about it. Even after the veto not being used, there's so many days. And so, if this were rushed and we had a Tuesday eviction, maybe Cody doesn't realize that, and then we have a situation where, they make a different decision. So, it's kind of exhausting, especially for those that want to keep up with the feeds, because we don't want to rely on the show edit. But this is what we get with BB22.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, as somebody that, who now covers every single day in detail, that in the past, what the tactic that you probably should use at this point in the game is start to move on to other things in your life. Like you'll get like, just honestly, just listen to the podcast, listen to the updates, you'll get the highlights. If anything crazy happens, you can always come back and be like, ooh, look at this. But if you're still like monitoring the feeds for like any change, like you're really setting yourself up for disappointment at this point.
It's akin to like when you're on a train and like your stop is test. You have to like get your stuff, really make sure you brush the crumbs off yourself, and then stand by the doorway. Like, you spend enough time in the train car watching the feeds for now double-digit weeks. It's okay to start transitioning yourself over, because as much as we talk about the languishing end game, before we know it, we're going to blink our eyes, and we're going to have a winner crowned here in a few weeks. So to Terran's point, to the Mr. Live Feed himself, have the express permission to be able to start looking to other things. Start making your Halloween costume, your BB-22 Halloween costume.
I am here for you. This is I will provide for you. I will be here to watch for you. So you don't have to.
Karen, we are so proud of you.
Thank you. I mean, I still haven't gotten any positive vibes, but I'm just like, it's not a big deal. I'm just saying that's, I can't believe after I did specifically say to Mike, and I know you were listening, and I just feel like you intentionally didn't say positive vibes just now.
Yeah, but now I'm going to go onto a podcast with your mom, Taryn, and talk about why I chose to include the specific language.
Yeah, Taryn, you need to go ask Rob what people say on his podcast. Do they say they're proud of him, or do they not?
I did talk to Rob the other day, or yesterday. I don't even remember this way. It was yesterday. On the slop, we had some fun. We talked about the wall yeller who was trying to apparently wall yell at the jury.
I think maybe your conversations before about like
talk to
getting a life should be pointed at that one person specifically. You don't miss that conversation at him. Hold it over your head and say anything silent.
Where was it?
Excuse me, sir. We know where you live now.
Where are we going?
Please stop doing this, please. Well,
Yeah, fuck it. I don't give a shit. Robert.
We heard from Ian about who's running the game now. There are a couple things we know about Ian. One is that he appreciates information that wall yellers give him. Right? Two. I only have one.
Seriously, what could he be yelling? Like, what could the wall yeller be yelling right now?
Came from the wall yeller. What if he was saying Danny's running the game because he heard a wall yeller say, Danny's running the game?
Honestly, I love this idea that was played before. I mean, they should have fed into this in the house. They can do it now in the jury house. Like, instead of, creating thousands and serene.
How long is this podcast? It's 2 fucking hours?
Rumors that don't
Fuck
even
is that?
make sense. Be like,
God damn it! I don't know if I'm gonna listen to all this tonight.
The JFK assassination, or
Where's Jack? We need him.
yeah, Enzo's in the Illuminati. Just like start playing all these rumors, because when you can't separate signal from the noise,
We'll see. So I mean, obviously I have to work tomorrow. Not right away in the morning, but it's like, I mean, it's not in the morning at all, really. But it's like, obviously early afternoon until night. So, what are we doing? Oh, we just need to get to a taxi. This is the closest one.
Was talking to Cameron today, and she was discussing that her ideal final 3 at this point actually might be Cody and Christmas. And I tend to agree.
Yeah, 100%.
Although I would honestly, let me take that back. I agree with the direction she's taking. I disagree with the layout there. I think her ideal final 3 is Christmas and Enzo. That's
Right,
much
but
better
when
final
To a
three.
Cody is
degree,
not a
though,
variable
but I feel like
you're giving
Enzo and
confidence,
Christmas are
right?
more
Like,
likely to
as
take
a
each other
firm,
at social
no matter
punishment
what, and,
than
you know,
Cody
jury's
is
still
to take
out as to
Christmas.
whether, you know, according to this conversation, it would be a final 2, but I think she is locked in right now to have Cody at least make her final 3 plans, no matter what.
Oh yeah, a video
Which
that
is
I hadn't
like,
been planning on doing,
how he
but
dominates every single
someone mentioned it, and it's actually a pretty good idea. Like I mean, like I had like the idea of this video. It's just I didn't plan on doing it anytime soon, but I think I kind of will do it. Like I might add this to the next batch of videos. Is a Big Brother what if font 2s were font 3s.
And it's like,
I think that makes that really interesting.
Are you playing to have?
Because I haven't actually thought through any of those scenarios before, just because it's like such a like blah thing.
For
But
as much as
I
she's
might
like,
fucking do it.
Christmas and
Could
Cody.
be fun.
I unfortunately don't think that's with the plan in mind to win the final 3 HOH and cut Cody for Christmas, which I think wins her the game.
No, it's more so a safeguard of, hey, I want to be in the Andy Aaron spot where either one of them win, they're going to take me above the other person, which I do agree with. I think that sort of is like the worst case scenario, and that's why I also agree with you that I think Enzo evicting Memphis this week, given what we just found out, is a pretty boneheaded decision, because I'm pretty sure if Memphis gets evicted here, the only real way that Enzo stays without winning a competition next week is what? If it's him and Christmas up on the block and Cody, not Nicole, is the sole vote to evict, which wouldn't even make sense because that would require Nicole winning the HOH that she can't win physically.
Well, basically, Cody, if him or Cody win the veto,
Right.
I think he'll be fine. I'm inclined to believe that Cody keeps Enzo over Nicole, so he's fine that way. And then also, if he wins the HOH, he'll be fine. You know, if I tried to do quick math, he's probably got like a 66% chance he doesn't win the HOH, and then like a 33% chance to leave in that case, if Memphis goes. And Nicole and Christmas both are trying to get him out now. But then Christmas evicts Cody over Enzo, so we probably have to cut that around in half.
Right, but that would be a situation where again Nicole's HOH if Christmas is the sole vote, which she can't be. So you have to think that either, you know, one, Nicole's definitely not HOH, so she's either going to be a nominee or she's going to be the sole vote.
Wrong guy. I'm gonna get the guy in the middle.
Which sort of, you know, tightens things up.
Yeah, it looks like it's like for a player like Enzo, who has been lock safe all season long, to all of a sudden head to the Final Four with even like 16% to go home is like, whoa, whoa, I don't know about that. What's going on there? You know, it's not great, and so, you know, we'll see. Here's the thing: Nicole might slip up, Christmas might slip up. If they talk at all about plans for the Final Four, that could really screw things up because that could get back to Enzo and or Cody.
So my
it could go back to Enzo, and then we could see.
Sorry, what the video is about to pass 4,000 views.
You know, Nicole is gonna
there was actually a point earlier today where it was barely doing better than my mid-season power ranking, which that would have been really fucking disappointing. At this point now, like, it's pretty much on pace to get around 9,000, I think. Ideally, the goal was to get it to 10,000 by the end of the 4 days. I don't know if he'll make it, but still, I mean, it's doing fine enough.
At this point, actually, I feel like maybe you can because she's won 2 competitions, and now all of a sudden she is a legitimate threat, and maybe he does just stick to his pros at that point. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just afraid that Christmas is gonna put in some time with Nicole this week because she really wants her to use it so that she can put Cody up, which is like Christmas, read the room. But she's going to say all of these things, and Nicole is just going to turn right back around, tell Cody and Enzo casually, not realizing that this is going to, you know, change their minds. And I was talking to my mom earlier, she watches the feed, and I was like, I honestly think that Nicole's only chance at winning at this point is against Christmas, but she doesn't realize that.
I mean, first of all, your mom is amazing, for one.
I think there's a chance she wins against Enzo, but definitely not.
I don't know.
Yeah,
My hot
wins.
take is I think that Nicole, despite what you said, I think she still at this point has higher winner equity than someone like Enzo.
Yeah.
who I do think the only way that he wins is like if, you know, he goes to the end with Cody, but like Cody cuts Nicole, as an example. You know, like if it's Cody making all, Cody has to be the one to bring him rather than vice versa. So ironically enough, to win, he has to lose the final HOH and get brought there to basically show so that he's not the one, you know, being essentially blamed as the Cody of like, how did you bring this big guy to the end when you had the one decision in your hands?
Doesn't Nicole have the same problem though, that she basically needs to lose the final 3 HOH because otherwise she's taking Cody, and then
The Cody.
right, then she's the Cody taking Cody. Everyone's the Cody taking Cody at this point. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like what's the scenario where Nicole sits next to Enzo in the final 3? I guess it would have to be that Christmas
Wins Final 4 veto.
wins the veto and takes out Cody in the final 4. The Cody's already gone. And then in the final 3, it's Nicole, Enzo, and Christmas, and then they...
I don't know, but
Enzo
I think
wins.
Enzo would have to win. I think
Yeah.
has that path right there. She's like, I gotta go with Christmas right now. I gotta ring that bell. I think Enzo does what it's the parabola, right? He has one competition at the beginning of the season, then he beats out at the end, and then takes Nicole. And then even then, you know, Nicole has some arguments. She's talked before about, like, you could stand there and say, how did you let a winner get to the end twice? But even then, you know, if that's the path that Enzo's going to take specifically, which is very antithetical to the path he currently wants to go on, but he's sort of forced to go on it, I think he'd squeak one out at least above Nicole.
And I kind of... So in that final 3, I feel like both of them take Christmas. But you have to be careful if Christmas is the Cody Slayer. Like, you gotta be a little careful of that. I think that could give her major credibility in the jury. So I don't think there's any scenario where Enzo and Nicole end up in the final 2 together. I can't find it.
Yeah, I saw a tweet earlier from Andy Herring.
What was he,
and
adopted?
Was saying, like, Cody, by far, if he makes it in, he deserves to win because he's played the best
Oh,
game.
fuck off.
And
I
at
think
this
I just
point,
realized
anyone who
something.
gets Cody out is the best player because they slayed Cody. Then they deserve to win. But, you know, who besides Christmas is willing to slay Cody?
It's gonna be a stretch, but I feel like I figured out something.
Unlike Enzo or Nicole, I believe, but we've already seen this play out a little bit in the jury segment.
She's an orphan, right?
Danny's running
cop.
the game, and then Danny showed up, and she was like, "Tyler took me out," and they were like, "Oh, look, Tyler's running the game." And so it's really just probably going to be this sort of chain reaction. I don't think anybody's ever going to say Christmas is running the game.
I'm thinking everyone's a fucking orphan in this game, though.
That beat out Cody and that took Cody out, I think really will give a lot of credibility to her argument. Despite that, it's still tough to see where her votes come from, though. If we're looking at Devon,
But she doesn't love her, but she didn't love Nicole either, and she gave her a vote.
Yeah,
so I could see her trying to
stabbed her. Christmas stabbed her in the front many times, and Nicole stabbed her in the back. It's interesting, you know. When I do these word associations when I do interviews for Parade, and far and away the person who has the most consistent opinions about her is Christmas, namely how unstable she is. And I feel like that lightning can strike once in a case like Josh, where it was very unique scenarios where maybe Josh endeared himself to some of them with his goodbye messages. Maybe it was just due to the fact that he's not Paul. This doesn't feel like that type of situation where they would be like, despite my personal misgivings with you, Christmas Abbott, gosh darn it, you're just such a good Big Brother player that I have to give you my vote. You know, I think we can certainly talk later, Taryn, about whether or not your prediction for like a quote-unquote bitter All-Stars jury will hold, but I do think that there will be some sort of like personal in play in that there might be some optics of like, how is this person going to look if they end up winning the season? You talked about that with David's winning chances, and while I do think that Christmas, the more she stays, the more that grows. It grows from like maybe 5 to 6%. I don't know if I'm going like 5 to 15% in terms of winner equity.
We will end soon, by the way. I don't know if I want to do another episode or not. I really don't. But at the same time, I kind of just want to... I do want to get more done here.
I agree. I think the problem is that, and this has been her problem since the very start of the game, people don't respect her. And that hasn't changed. People still don't respect her. If anything, they're solidified took out Cody. I don't think that's enough. I think that she would have needed to have won one of these competitions in the Final 5 and a Final 4 win, maybe a Final 3 win. Just something to be like, I won out. I beat out Memphis. I beat out Cody. I beat out Nicole. Like, whatever it is. I think that's the narrative she needed to have any kind of momentum going into the Final 2. And I feel like even if she does snipe out Cody, I feel like it's going to be looked at as like, okay, she won one thing at the end and took out the best player, but still, like, what else did she do? So I agree. I think it opens the door a crack. Yeah, that if then for some, maybe they have longer periods of time to answer jury questions because of COVID or something, and then maybe she blows them all away with her amazing speech.
In rhyme.
It rhymes, yes.
Where she says, this was the best jury ever assembled in Big Brother history. You have to vote for me to win.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, so looking at this, it's gonna be, I think Nicole or Enzo still beat Christmas. Then it's, I don't think they sit next to each other in the end at all. So that means that basically,
So, need to do that.
basically, if they want to win, if either Nicole or Enzo want to win the game, they have to hope for like a Christmas veto, because otherwise, or they have to obviously we're ignoring the idea that like, oh, they could also cut Cody themselves. I think that just straight up wins them the game. But it just doesn't feel like either one of them is willing to do that.
It's more likely that a unicorn comes trampling into the house, searching them front, and they fight off on it to earn $500,000. That's not going to happen. I guess for me, like, my most ideal endgame outcome, and it's not ideal in terms of like these are the two people I want to see at the end because that ship has sailed, but more so the most interesting one is, I don't know, maybe this is me trying to be optimistic,
I'm still debating over whether or not I want to record more.
Interesting as the days pass, especially if Nicole keeps, like, if she pulls off an endgame streak here, that on top of what she may be able to spin,
Thank you, Parker.
something like, yeah, I think